Hi. How's it going? Looks like we have quite a few people jumping on with us, which is great. So one thing I'll ask you to do, if you are on with us, go ahead and mute your microphone until it's time to talk or you want to share something. That way we don't get like background noise from other people. That would be awesome. First, I'd like to start by welcoming everyone. I'm so excited to see everyone here on with us today. I'd like to start by just asking how it's going. How are things coming along? Any questions from participants out there?
I have a question.
Yes.
I just noticed when I went to look at my assignment that I turned in last night, and it says it was submitted by Jamie Wedding instead of me. Like, it's not even my estimate.
Where did you submit the assignment?
In the submissions tab for the assignment.
Okay. Let me see. You sent an email about this already, right?
I was starting to send out an email to Dr. Childs, I think it was, and then the meeting started, so I just asked you.
Okay.
I have the same issue.
Okay. At least it's not just me.
Yeah.
It also said Jamie Wettig, but since my name is Jamie, I thought, oh, they just confused me with another Jamie. But I did send an email to the TA about it.
Okay, yeah, I see what's going on here. It does say it's switched over. I'll go in and let me see if I can edit that right quick. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like he accidentally went in and upload his in our actual assignments tab. So let me fix that. Has everyone had a chance to upload their autobiographical narrative to the discussion board as well?
Yes.
I did before. I didn't even realize it needed to be submitted in 2 different spots. So I did the discussion, and then like 4 hours later, I submitted it to the submissions tab.
Okay. Yeah, that is no problem. Okay, it should be fixed now for the autobiographical narrative. Now you should just see it's an autobiographical narrative and upload your link on the assignments tab. So that should be taken care of. So if you get a chance to go back and do that, don't worry about any of these things being late too, because we know that things like this occur. So for those of you still submitting the autobiographical narratives, that's just fine. We'll just do those today.
Okay.
I
So do we just go in and do resubmit the assignment when we do it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, if you just want to add like a little note that says there was a problem with Jamie Wettig, I'm resubmitting it here, just so that they know.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. How about other people? How are things going? I know it looks like we have a couple of the TAs online too. Other questions with the autobiographical narrative? Let's kind of go in order, I guess.
Mine also says Jamie Wettig, but it says it was submitted by myself, but then it just says Jamie Wettig autobiographical narrative. But when I click on the link, it's still my video. So
okay, maybe try refreshing it. I should now just say autobiographical narrative.
Okay.
If you refresh your tab. Does that work?
I'm just going to try to close out of it and open it again and see how far that gets.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll do the same. I'll go back in and click on the assignments tab. Yeah, if you go to the assignments tab, let me check the modules tab. Also show that. Yeah, now it should show in both places, the assignments tab and the submission tab.
Yeah, mine's fixed. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for following up on that. So have people had a chance to look at some of their peers' autobiographical narratives?
That's something I kind of wanted to talk about. Like, I've only got 2 peers in my group that have done anything on that. I mean, responded and kind of started a dialogue with them, but are we going to be compiling? Are we kind of over enrolled right now?
I put in the email I sent you yesterday, you'll have until Thursday to do peer responses. So I know some people might be having trouble getting things uploaded or may not know how to put it in both places. The TAs will be following up with everyone, and then you'll have until Thursday to make a comment on the 4. And everyone should have at least 4 in their group. I think there might be one group that has 3. And we've had a little bit of attrition. I'm trying to figure that out. A couple of people have stopped since we started the program on Monday. So I'll figure that out. But just as many people as you can, the 4 for sure. And then if for some reason there's not 4 by Thursday, just whoever's in there. And you won't.
Yeah, but if my group doesn't end up to 4, I can like pop over in other groups and say hi and things like that.
I wouldn't worry about it. I would just stay with your group.
Okay.
You won't get penalized for not having all 4. It'll just be who's in your group. And then we'll send an update to anyone about groups to let them know there's been a change. Like I said, we've lost a couple. I think the couple we've lost have been in a little bit larger groups. We have different size groups. But if your group happens to go to 4, I'll let you know. So that way you know you only have to come into 3. And then you are just commenting on the discussions tab. As I went in and looked, there are quite a few people already getting a chance to respond to the peer review, so that is great. Just make sure when you do that, you're going in and actually clicking on your section. So like if you're in Ashley Reinhardt's group, section L, make sure to click on that and then go in and add the comments under your TA's section. I have a couple of people who commented outside the sections. So try and keep your comments in the sections themselves. Questions about that?
I had some issues with my autobiographical narrative. Like in between each of my slides, it made a clicking noise and it would not stop. Like I kept re-recording it, and like no matter what I did, so that it just kind of glitched out in between.
Okay, when you played the whole thing back, did it do that as well?
Yeah, and like when I submitted it, because I thought maybe it was just because it was mine on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
And so I submitted it, and then it started, and I was like, well, I don't know how to fix that.
Okay, as long as we can hear it, Brittany, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I'm not sure why that happened. Go ahead and just put a little comment in there to your TA when you submit it. Say, hey, there's clicking sound. I don't know what happened. If you have problems listening to it, let me know. Just that way they knew there was an issue, but you, I don't know why that was happening. I haven't had that occur before. But as long as we can hear the audio.
It's back there at least now. It's on there since you fixed it. So we're good from that perspective.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and just a reminder, if you're not talking, go ahead and mute your screen just so that we don't pick up all the background noise. Any other questions on autobiographical narratives? As we move into the next topic here. Okay, it looks like everyone's good. The Zoom sessions really are just a chance for us to get together face-to-face and talk a little about some of the things that are going on, how the semester's going so far. So I want to jump back to the very beginning. I know everyone's done, or the majority of you done your Are You Ready survey and signed up for the book circles. For the book circle, there were a few minor issues with people getting deleted for some reason from the book they signed up for. But I went in last night and made sure everyone had a book and was signed up for a book. Has everyone had a chance to go check those book circle books?
I bought the book, but I hope that's the one that went through. Like on the sign, like the one I signed up for.
Yeah, it shouldn't. I think there's just a couple minor issues with that, and those people notified us via email. They either notified me or their TA, and we made sure they knew what book to get. For those books, go ahead and make sure to buy those as soon as possible, and you can get them from any outlet. It can be Amazon.com or Barnes & Noble, and you can try and download them on Kindle. Any way you want to get the book is fine with me. I know there's one, I think Schools of Tomorrow, they can actually just download the whole thing. And I think it's free last time I checked. But the other ones, they kept the cost as minimal as possible in terms of the books. And what you'll find with these book circle books, not only will it give you a chance to share with other people your book in your group, you'll get a view of all the your other partners' books, which will be nice. So you don't have to read 5 or 10 books. You'll get actually exposure to all the different books just reading yours. Also, these books reflect specific philosophies of education that we are covering in this course. So I think it's a good way to kind of link the information together. So that's the purpose of the book circle, is really to share, inform others about the different types of books you're reading, and make content connections to the course as well. Questions about the book circle books?
So Schools of Tomorrow is the John Dewey book, right?
Yes, yeah, and that's the one I believe you can download.
Yeah, that's Gutenberg. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions about those? I know someone mentioned on an email that, what is it, the Free Range Childhood, they're having trouble getting with by the weekend. See if there's any way to go like to another outlet, like maybe Barnes & Noble. I know that was coming through Amazon. See if maybe Barnes & Noble can expedite it, or another way if they can get them to you. Ideally, you'd have the books by this weekend so that you can start reading through them. The first book circle, though, I don't believe is due until Wednesday. So if for some reason you're delayed in getting that book, you still have time to go through the first part and get a response in for that first assignment. Okay. Other questions about the book circle books? Okay, and then how about the iBook? How is that going for people? Is it any problems downloading the chapters, looking through the information? They find it user-friendly?
I feel like it's went really well. I did the PDFs on my laptop and then the iBooks on my iPad. That way I kind of have it when I need it, wherever I am.
Good, excellent.
There was one video that I tried to watch this morning that it didn't work.
Okay.
It was on the Dame School and Latin Grammar School. The video, I tried a bunch of different ways to get to it, and it just said it didn't work.
Okay.
I found a similar video.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go back in and look at that one. Dorothy, did you make the comment in the chat on that too?
I had problems with that.
No, I didn't. I can. Do you want me to add it in there?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Dorothy, is that
Okay.
the link you're talking about?
Which one? Yeah, chapter 2.
Okay.
Can't find it now.
Okay. I'll go back and look at that for the Dame School, and I'll upload a link directly into the week 1 module for you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, anything like that happens in the iBook, please let me know. I know with our Hale library, some of the links for the articles might be a little bit confused in terms of getting those to just pop right up. So if anything like that happens with an article or video, just shoot me a message in the chat board, or you can, let your TAs know, and I'll make sure to get those addressed. That's one thing I did want to mention. In your homepage, you have a chat button. And this is kind of a way to support you guys as we go through. We haven't really started at this point, but what I'll do, I'm just going to put a little message in that chat button for you. Oh, so there's any messages, alerts. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like Katie's on there. A few people in there. Okay. So let me just add a little message here. I think it's going to let me. And this chat board will be a place where you can ask questions, just generally things that you might be having issues with. And I will be monitoring it, as well as your TAs and Susan Sherleen, who's the coordinator of the TAs. So if you have something come up, this is a great place too for you guys as peers. Like say someone's having trouble figuring out VoiceThread, you can put in some tips in here for VoiceThread and different things like that. It's just your vehicle to communicate with each other across groups, and then to get support individually from myself and the TAs. So let me put that. Okay, so now you see I put in there the chat. Hello, this is where you can ask us any questions. So that chat room will be there. I would encourage you to try and maybe go to the chat room once a day, see what messages are in there. It's a great way, as I said, to get clarification on things. If people have the same issue coming up, we'll make sure to note those in the chat room. And it'll be our informal discussion between Zoom sessions. Okay. For the Zoom sessions, I did go back and look at the survey that was filled out by everyone, and looks like Mondays are the preferred time, but I wanted to get one in this week. That's why we're doing it today. But next week we'll have it on Monday. We'll do, again, kind of like a morning and then evening session for people to Zoom in. And those Zoom sessions will always be recorded. So if for some reason you can't come into the Zoom session, you can always watch the recording of it and see what kind of things we talked about. Okay. But I'll send out a link for the Zoom session times and dates for next week, which will be Monday, by the end of the week. Okay. And I know your TAs have done a great job. A lot of them are doing Zoom sessions with you as groups as well. So kind of just keep note of that. It's a great way to get specific questions answered by your TAs. Other questions about that right now? The chat or the iBook? Okay, so let's talk a little about our upcoming assignments. So today, I'm sorry, what, Jennifer?
With Monday being Memorial Day, will we still have a Zoom session?
Oh, I forgot about being Memorial Day. Let's actually move that to Tuesday then, because it is Memorial Day. So we'll do our Zoom session for next week on Tuesday.
Okay.
Because it's a holiday Monday. Thanks for that reminder.
Question
And
about
then week 3, we'll do it on Monday. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brad.
Sorry to interrupt. Any tips on how to highlight in the ebook?
There is within, I know if you can download the iBook version of it, there is a way to highlight, but also within your PDF, you should be able to go through and highlight. Are you using the PDF or the iBook version?
Been using the PDF. I'm using a tablet, and so I'm catching up on some of the new technology I'm using that
okay.
or at least new to me.
Yeah, no, and that's, like I said, this course does have a lot of new information, a lot of new technology. Has anyone had any success highlighting in the PDF that you can give here, Dorothy said the PDF needs Adobe or another PDF editor to highlight. So do you have that, Brad?
Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll figure it out. That helps. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that was a great tip, Dorothy. Thank you. And then Shauna Wood said on the top tab bar, there's a highlight button you can use as well. Just select that.
Perfect. Thanks.
Uh-huh. Shauna, what'd you say? Okay, and then Christy said, I put the PDF into Notability, then you can highlight and write. Oh, that's a good tip. You can actually take notes on the side as well. So yeah, lots of different ways to do it. I love that you guys are all jumping in there and figuring out the technology. That's great. And I'll put some of these tips into the chat room too, so you guys have that as a reference.
So through Adobe, you can take notes and highlight, but I made the mistake of not saving it when I exited out, and it took away everything I had done. So be sure you hit save when you exit out of Adobe.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great tip. Thank you. All right. So let's jump to today's assignment, the initial philosophy of education. Has anyone had a chance to do that yet?
I've been working on it. I just want to be sure it's the right kind of thing. Like if there's any kind of header or whatnot, I don't really write in APA a lot, and I don't figure we need a cover page for that.
No, you don't need a cover page. This one's just a real informal kind of just, what do you think a philosophy of education is and what is your philosophy? So I really just want to know like why you're going into teaching, what you believe about teaching. If you want to mention like what you believe about the classroom environment or student behavior, stuff like that. Just very general. I don't want to get into specifics, and I don't want you to go feel like you have to Google philosophy of education, how to write one. This is just a very informal, your thoughts about education. When we get to the enhanced philosophy of education at the end of the semester, like 2.5 weeks from now, you will be able to take the content you've learned from the course, and I'll give you specific headings, and you'll be able to write more specifically about that philosophy of education. And these headings you'll be given at the end align with those you're asked to do in your portfolio later. And that's why I say it's an enhanced philosophy, not a final philosophy, because you'll continue to revise that throughout the MAP program. And then when you get into your future teaching career, that philosophy is always continuing to evolve and change. So it's not a final philosophy by any means, but it's a good addition when you get to that third week. So here, just don't worry. It's just really just getting your thoughts down on paper, kind of just having an informal conversation with us about what you believe about teaching. And then in that enhanced paper, we'll give you more structure to kind of plug it in. Does that help explain kind of that philosophy of paper, what we're looking for?
That's very helpful. I did have a question on like a couple of the assignments. So for example, on the Spark video, were we supposed to cite our sources? And I couldn't really figure out how to do that completely because you can only add so much to each slide.
Yeah, no, for the Spark video, you did not need to do that. If I want specific APA citations, I'll let you know. So for example, in our first book circle, I will expect you to do that APA citation for your book, and I'll have that included on one of the slides. But, and for your reflection paper that you're gonna do this week, you can reference the book or reference quotes out of the book, but you don't have to go and do additional research. You don't have to do a reference page on those.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the reflection paper, I had kind of started it, and then I started looking at the rubric. When it says reflect, do we just think about it like in our head, or are we supposed to write about everything we learned in the chapter as well on that paper?
You're supposed to write about what you learned, but pick like a main idea from each chapter for that reflection. You're going to write about the main takeaway you got from that chapter.
Okay, so not everything in the chapter, just our main takeaway.
Yeah, just your main takeaway.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a great question. So let's jump to that reflection paper since we're on that topic. With it, there are two ways you can set that up because it has 3 steps and it's over the 3 chapters. You can do step 1 for each chapter, like do your reflection and pull the main ideas for each chapter and write about those in 3 paragraphs. And then do the next step and write about each chapter in 3 paragraphs. And then the last step and write about each chapter in 3 paragraphs. Or if for you conceptually, like cognitively, it's easier to think about it as I'm going to do all of chapter 1 with the 3 steps together, that's fine. And then do chapter 2 with the 3 steps together and chapter 3 with the 3 steps together. Whatever is easier for you to like mentally process, as long as I see the 3 steps, just make sure they're clearly labeled so we know what you're doing. It's like you can even just do that within the paragraph, say, for chapter 1, my reflection is that, just so that we know that that's your reflection part, and then the second part and the third part. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, because I know we process information differently. For some of us, it's easier to just do it all together. For others, we can just break it apart. So whatever works for you is fine with us. Other questions about the reflection paper? I know that's not for a couple days, and some of us are taking them one day at a time. But any other questions you can think of?
Do you want actual labels at the top of each section? Like, do you want headings? Or do you just want us to say, like, kind of as an introduction into the paragraph, what we're talking about? Whatever
is easier for you. If you can just make sure it's clear, either with the heading or in the introduction to the paragraph, that first sentence, just so we know. If you're going to jump around, make sure it's very clear, just so that we can see all 3 parts. Because in the rubric, we're going to be looking for all 3 parts. So again, it's kind of like for you organizationally, if you think the headings are helpful, feel free to use the headings. But if you'd rather make it more like a free flow paper with your 3 paragraphs, for each part, just make sure in the paragraphs we're clear that that's what you're doing. Okay, so let's jump to tomorrow's assignment, which is the historical figure, law, or event. This one, I really love it because you get to pick something that's interesting to you, learn a little bit more about the topic, and share that information with us. For this one, you are going to use an app called VoiceThread, and VoiceThread works on Mac and PC. It's a free download. And basically the reason I'm using this is because it allows you to put a presentation in, and then there's just a little record button, and you talk us through the slide. So it's similar to like PowerPoint, Google Slides, but this one, it's actually all right there in one document. And then you can go through and actually make comments, like I can make a comment on the side, or your TAs can make a comment on the side of each of the slides based on what you share. So it's really user-friendly. If you feel more comfortable creating the presentation in PowerPoint, you can always do that and then just import it into VoiceThread and just click on the audio pieces to record it. Or you can create the actual presentation in VoiceThread itself. This is the first time we're going to use this app, so it's a little bit new. There are tutorials like I did for the Adobe Spark video in there. I think it's still pretty user-friendly, and like I said, that record feature is really nice because you can talk us through what you're doing. For the historical figure law event, think of it like as a mini presentation you're doing for us. There are specific slides that are required, and you're just going to talk us through those slides. So like maybe 30 seconds per slide, something like that. So we get like maybe a 5-minute presentation total from you about your historical figure law or events.
I had a quick question about that, if I could jump
Yes.
in here really quick. When we are giving the presentation, how do we go about with the APA during the presentation? Do we cite sources like according to blah, 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 or do we just wait until the final reference page at the end to cite sources?
Within the slide itself, I would say, if you have a quote that's directly taken from a source, just put the quote with your quotation markers and then the author and year after it, and they can just talk us through that quote, and then at the end have the full APA citation on your last slide.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, great question. Other questions about that? Putting together the historical figure law or event?
Kind of tangential to that. We use VoiceThread for this, and we've used Spark Notes. I neither used either of those before. I haven't had an issue yet. But are we going to have too many more different technological things that we need to do, or is everything going to kind of be central to those?
There will be for the book circles, are really the only other things you'll use different technology for. And a couple of those should be something you're familiar with, like Google Slides is an option. For the book circles, I want you to try 2 different apps, though, to get familiar with them. Like a lot of schools are using Google Slides with children, so I want you to know how to use that. There's some other apps in there, like there's one called Sway, there's another called Haiku Deck, and eMaze, and Prezi. So those are, I think there are 5 different apps. You only have to choose 2 of the 5 to use for your book circle presentations. But again, all these apps are being used either with children in schools. So when you get into schools, it's great to have a familiarity with them, or they're going to be used in your program later on. So like with the MAP program, I know we have instructors who use Haiku Deck. We have instructors who use Prezi. So being familiar and getting to know how to use those to create a presentation will help you as you continue on in the MAP program. But you don't have to use all 5. Just pick any 2 that you're most comfortable with. Google Slides is pretty much a default for everyone because it's the most similar to PowerPoint for that book circle presentation. But the others, if you haven't used Prezi, it's kind of a neat format to use. Again, pretty similar to PowerPoint, but it just allows you to jump around to different slides. eMaze is also really nice. It's a great presentation tool. Again, probably pretty similar to PowerPoint, but the functions and features are a little bit more fancy. The 2 most distinct of those apps would be Sway and Haiku Deck. They're a little bit different in terms of it's kind of a scrolling presentation. So they don't have slides per se. You do put in information, but then you'll scroll down or scroll to the right to see the rest of the presentation. But I like both Sway and Haiku Deck because they allow you to put in different visual features along with the text. So it kind of jazzes up the presentation a little bit. And again, with all these different types of presentation tools, everything should be free. You should never have to pay for anything. Like Prezi has 2 versions. One's a paid version, one's a non-paid. Use the non-paid version. You should not have to buy any tech tool that you're using. Does that help answer your question, JR?
Yeah, that totally follows. And I've done slides in Prezi and things like that.
Okay, perfect.
I just want to know if that was part of like kind of what we're trying to do is use a lot of presentation technologies. And you think
Yeah, definitely. This one, I think, is of all the MAP courses, is the heaviest in that sense, but I really want you to get familiar with all the different tools so you start to get comfortable with them, particularly being an online vehicle and format. And then also these tools are being used by students in schools. So when you actually go out into the classroom, they're like, hey, you're in Google Slides. I've done that before. So you'll have that connection with your students and be able to show them. And a lot of teachers really like when you go out for your practicum, maybe that first month or 2, you can say, hey, let's have them do an autobiographical narrative, and they can use Adobe Spark, and you can actually share with them some of the information you've learned. All right, excellent. Other questions about the historical figure law or event assignment? I know that's tomorrow, so again, some of us are waiting to jump on that tomorrow.
Are we just choosing any topic that we want, or is it coming from the iBook?
You can choose any topic you want. And with that, there is a list on the assignment for the historical figure law event. There's a list of different ideas. But say there's something you're interested in that's not on that list, you can definitely do that. Just let your TA know and say, hey, I'm going to do this instead. Is that all right? And they'll approve it. Like I know some people have specializations in music or technology, and they want to research someone or something that's had an impact in education that way. That is completely fine. The key is to find something that relates to education in any of those 3 categories: a historical figure, a law, or an event.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question. Does it matter if 2 people use the same topic?
No, not at all. One of the things, like because you're in smaller groups, the goal is that you'll select different topics, but if someone repeats within your group the same topic, that's fine, because your presentation will be put together a little bit differently. You're not going to do it exactly the same way, and you may pull out different content or information.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Will we also be uploading the presentation in our discussion boards, so then we put feedback on other people's?
Yeah.
Or is it only submitted?
That one I'd like to do both as well, so that you can see other people's and learn a little bit more about different historical figures, law, or events. So we'll do it in both spots, the discussion board and the other. That's why the discussion boards, I set them up purposely as just your TA's names and sections, so we can add different topics in there. It's a great question.
Thank you. For each assignment, will you let us know where you want them submitted? Because like that one, you said the discussion board and submission.
Yes.
Is that the same for all of them, or just certain assignments?
Just certain assignments, like the initial philosophy education, that's just between you and me and the TAs. So that one you won't submit in multiple places. It'll just come into the assignment discussion, the assignment board. So that one, no. But yes, we will definitely send reminders for the ones we want to have you be able to comment on. So that way it goes into the discussion board.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. It's kind of hard with an online course. We want to try and promote as much interaction as possible among you guys. So having, I think, the discussion board to see several of the assignments is a great way to do that, because it's all centralized, located in one spot, and you can make quick comments on them. It's really about creating that classroom community is what we're trying to do in an online format, which can sometimes be challenging, but I'm excited. From what I hear from the TAs, the groups are going really well. Yes, some good introductions going on. Any questions about the TA groups at this point? No, everyone's got their TA. They know who to contact for initial questions. Okay, perfect. All right, looks like I have about 5 more minutes. Any other general questions?
I have one more question. When we're commenting on our peers' historical presentation,
yes,
doesn't it just follow the same format, autobiographical, 2 or 3 general statements and then 1 how we relate?
Let me double check. I'm not sure that I put that into the assignment itself. I think it's a little bit different, but let me pull that up right quick. Of course, now I'm not seeing the folder. Okay, so for that one, we're going to comment. So I think for this one, I'm trying to pull up the rubric here just to make sure I tell you the right thing. Yeah, that one, let's follow the same format that we used for the autobiographical narratives. Yeah, so just a couple like general observations or comments about the presentations. And I know from what I'm seeing in the discussion boards, people are doing kind of individual, like quick, hey, I really like this autobiographical narrative, and they're doing that to 4 different people. For the historical figure law event, let's do the same thing, just like a quick comment or connection you make to the different people. And again, let's shoot for 4 per group. So when you get that historical figure law event done, actually, sorry, go ahead, go in there and make comments to at least 4 of your peers on their historical figure laws or events. Okay. And that we'll have through the weekend to do that. So I know people will be posting them tomorrow, which is Thursday. So you'll have, like, let's say through Saturday or Sunday to do those comments. So that'll give you guys time to kind of take a break, take a breath from doing that reflection paper, and then go back and look at some of those presentations. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other general questions? And I'm taking some notes here too, so I'll add some of these things back into the chat as reminders for us to go back in and look at. So far, how is everyone liking the course? I know it's been an intense, we jumped right in there and started right away. Are you guys doing okay? Liking it so far?
I really do like it. I like all the interaction because I really thought I'd be like on my own when I started. I was like all online on my own, but it's been pretty easy actually.
Good, excellent. Anyone else felt the same way as Brittany? Been good. You're not an island, remember, in our syllabus. Tried really hard in this class to make sure you guys have those connections.
I was surprised by all the technology, and technology is something that's really kind of frightening to me, and I feel it's a real weak area, but I was so proud of myself when I created my Spark narrative, and I thought, I can do this, and now I'm ready to do more. I'm excited.
Awesome. That is so great to hear, Jamie. I'm so happy. Yeah, I know it's a little intimidating when we first get in there and have to think, oh my gosh, she wants to use all these different things. But I tried to pick user-friendly things that would help promote the interaction, and I'm proud of you too for doing that. That's great. Any other comments? I really do hope you're liking the iBook as well. I think it's a great way to kind of specialize the course for you guys. I wrote it with you guys in mind. I feel like sometimes textbooks out there, number one, they're extremely expensive, but then also there's just so much content in there. It's like, really, what do they want me to get out of it? So the iBook is really a way to centralize that information and put it all in user-friendly, readable terms. And then I love with the chapter 2, if you're looking at the different impacts of deculturalization, I think the videos really bring that to life. So hopefully you guys are getting a lot out of it. All right, well, it looks like our Zoom session is going to come to an end here in a second. For some reason, it's only allowing us 40 minutes because I guess there's so many of us on right now. But I'll make sure to go ahead and post this video for everyone. They can go back and look at it and get any questions answered. Tonight's Zoom session should be very similar. So, but if you want a chance to see the second recording or jump in tonight, that would be great too. Any final questions, comments? All right, you guys will keep up the great work. I'm so excited to have you on board with the MAP program, and I will be in touch. Bye, everyone.